Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. It is officially that limbo area between Christmas and New Year where it doesn't quite feel like 2025, but you're still not thinking about Christmas anymore. So it is officially time to start making new videos. And today we're going to talk about Sonic the Hedgehog 3. It officially came out yesterday, I saw it. And I have to say right from the get-go, it is a great movie. It is just absolutely phenomenal. And I'm going to talk about it and talk about the history of Sonic in the movies because it has been a wild ride. So this video is going to contain spoilers about the movie. I'm going to give my review, my thoughts overall about it, and just say what I liked about it because I think there's a lot to think about in this film, especially as they increase in the size and scope of the films and the quality of them. So first of all, I want to talk a little about the history of Sonic as a character because I think it is amazing what they've done with these last two movies. The first one, I thought was a mixed bag. Honestly, it came out from an era where just studios were making movies out of video games. They were seeing, oh, what's popular now? And there's something that I have to recognize is just the whole Hollywood apparatus is rotten to the core because we live in an era where some movies are greenlit just because they're going to make money, and they put people who have never played a video game in their life to take care of them. And that's what originally happened with the original Sonic movie. For those young ones who don't remember, back in 2019, there was a trailer for the first Sonic movie that just set the internet on fire. There was a really big problem with the design of the first Sonic, and just by looking at him, I mean, it's just completely horrifying. This affront to God is as charming as a turd in a punch bowl, and everybody knew about it, everybody was talking about it. And there was the first time where cyberbullying a studio into submission actually did some change, which was unprecedented at the time. I don't remember a single time where that happened. So these executives decided to just go back to the drawing board, come up with a new design for Sonic. And the movie was not really that huge of a success, in my opinion. I think the movie was kind of like the template there for that terrible movie was still there, even though Sonic's new design was great. However, it did set the precedent for future movies where they could just actually change that, and I think the second movie did a great job with that. The second movie, I feel like they just finally fired everybody involved with the first movie, got a new team who actually play the games, who actually understand what Sonic fans care about, and they made an amazing movie. I think it was great. I didn't think it was like, I thought it was just like your run-of-the-mill, video game / superhero movie that was amazing, and I just absolutely thought the introduction of Tails and Knuckles with the new design was great, and I can't imagine seeing these characters with the original ugly Sonic design. That would have been terrifying. Given that, the introduction of Jim Carrey as Dr. Ivo Robotnik was a great decision from the very beginning. I think Jim Carrey is one of those actors who I've always had a very strong attachment to because I've been watching his movies since forever. I love him in every single film he's done, and hearing about his retirement made me a little sad, but like seeing him return in Sonic because that's the only way that he would come back from retirement was just absolute gold. I think he kills it. It's filled with that, just absolute humor. And I gotta talk about that more when I talk about Sonic 3. His acting is still great. He's the one who Jim carried that whole first movie throughout. All the failures, like all the flaws it has, I just feel like there were so many things that could have been improved, and it would have been much worse with a different actor as Robotnik. And the second one, I feel like everything just came into place. It was just like excellently written. I'm not going to talk about the Knuckles series, honestly. I thought it was terrible. I don't know what happened with that series. I mean, it was just absolutely... It had nothing to do with Sonic, and not only in like the literal sense because he's not in that film and that series that much, but it just literally goes off the rails in directions that make absolutely no sense for this world and these characters. So I'm just going to leave the Knuckles series out of this. But now let's talk about the third movie because that's what you clicked on the video for. So Sonic 3... right out of the get-go is amazing. It introduces Shadow the Hedgehog as the kind of antagonist / deuteragonist of the movie. I would say this is a Shadow movie as much as it is a Sonic movie. They would have actually called it Shadow the Hedgehog, and it would have been just completely unchanged. And I feel like the movie elevates all the ideas from the second one because I consider the first one and second one so different, just in every single sense of the word. But the third one just takes the action, the storytelling, the pacing, up to another level. It feels like more of a Marvel movie, like a classic Marvel Avengers style film with these new characters, with the introduction of a new villain as Dr. Gerald Robotnik. He's Ivo Robotnik's grandfather, and they introduced like lore from the video games that I had to go and research beforehand because I thought it was really interesting. The whole story with Maria Robotnik, with Shadow, Project Shadow, the whole thing, I thought it was just amazing, and I think that reflects a lot in the movie. The way this film pays respect to the games, just adapting a story in a way that makes sense, unlike some other movies that I'm not going to go into.
Hey, could I...
Oh, you must be the rookie. I heard that you shot your partner in the ass during training. Is that true? And then
I feel like a love letter to Sonic fans, and everything in the movie works. The pacing, the humor. There were moments, especially with Jim Carrey, and that you kind of feel like this movie is made for kids. It's just with the humor, the jokes, the pacing. But there are some jokes in there intended for adults. If you see the movie, if you take your kids, there are going to be some jokes that fly over their heads. But Jim Carrey's kind of like the catalyst for that. He is that's why I love him so much. Because there's some subtle lines that just made me laugh so much in the theater, and all the kids didn't understand like what was going on. But I thought it was just funny as hell. I think Jim Carrey's never gonna fail. I think he's going to. I hope he returns to make more movies like this one, even though his character kind of like got eviscerated. But you know, nobody's really dead in these movies unless you see the body, I guess. But that is just what I hope to see, because I can't get enough of his character, and I thought it was amazing, especially him as Ivor Robotnik and as Gerald Robotnik. So going back to the movie, there's a lot of character development. Sonic grows a lot. There's some really good scenes, like that just go beyond just, oh, you know, explosions on screen, and there's some actual character development. More for Sonic, I feel like Tails and Knuckles are just there for being as side characters. Knuckles had an entire series to explore that, and I feel like that series did a terrible job at it. Sonic grows a lot as a character. He goes through his whole arc. Shadow goes through so much character development in such a short time. You get to know Shadow, his motivations, what drives him, his past, his storyline, everything. I feel like it gets developed even more than Sonic in the first movie, I must say. This is why I consider this movie as much a Shadow the Hedgehog movie than a Sonic movie. And the other human characters, Maddie and Tom, are just there for, you know, to drive the plot in directions where it needs to go. I don't think they are shining there that much, and that's okay, because this is like the Godzilla movies. Nobody really cares about them. They just care about monsters fighting. It's the same. Everybody just cares about Sonic. I don't really care about the human characters. They're not really big in the games, except for Ivor Robotnik, but I digress. The movie is great when it focuses on these characters instead of, you know, like the human side of things. Finally, the special effects and fight scenes are on point, and that is part of what I was saying before, that this movie is so much different than the first one. The first one, I feel like it had such a limited budget. Like, these parasites on top probably didn't have much faith on it. It's gonna be like, oh, just another stockpile video game movie that we're just gonna adapt to make money, or, you know, tax cuts or whatever the heck is going on up there. And they didn't expect people to be this attached, especially in the internet era. They didn't expect people to be attached to Sonic the Hedgehog so much. And the movie was a success, and the movie spawned a franchise that was a huge success. This movie, I think it's going to make so much money. And obviously there's going to be a lot of sequels, franchise potential, but this one elevates the action and budget to the max. I mean, the final scene in Sonic 3, which is out of this world, literally and metaphorically, it felt like something out of Dragon Ball Z, with Shadow and Sonic fighting in the moon and like across the earth. It was just phenomenal. That whole scene was just beautiful. Beautiful from beginning to end. And you see the amazingness of Shadow. And yeah, I think this movie's great. I think it was a great improvement over the second one, a super huge improvement over the first movie. And I hope to see more of these characters, but I'm kind of skeptical of the fourth and beyond, because what they need to adapt good stories. That's the main thing about these movies. It's not just about action and, you know, seeing these colorful characters or putting endless jokes for the kids. I think it's more about telling a story that is kind of the reason why Sonic fans are so attached to these characters. So anyways, those are most of my thoughts on Sonic the Hedgehog 3. So if you like this video, please leave a subscribe. We're going to get to 2,000 subscribers by the end of January, and I'm really, really excited about that. So anyways, that's everything for today. Have a great day, everybody. See you later.